Hi, my name is Chris, and where the hell have I been during the last 2 weeks? If you follow me on Twitter and Facebook, then you know that the last 2 weeks have been pretty rough, because my wife was in the hospital where she had to get her thyroid gland removed, as she was diagnosed with a 60 to 40% chance that she has thyroid cancer. Luckily this turned out to be not the case, and I could get her home yesterday, where she's now recovering from both the surgery and the scare that she might have cancer. Thanks to all of you for your support during the last 2 weeks, it really meant a lot to us. So during the last 14 days I haven't been able to do any kind of videos on my channel, but I did monitor all the things that happened in Battlefield and Battlefront. And Battlefront is what I want to talk about in this video. So over the last few weeks and months, DICE and EA have been very busy to build up a lot of hype around their new game Star Wars Battlefront. And it reached a point where a lot of players have been acting like this will be the savior of the first-person shooter genre. The hype reached its peak when they showed us the in-engine trailer during the Star Wars Celebration days. And this trailer looks phenomenal. It is really an astonishing piece of art, and in some scenes you could think that you watch something that is taken out of the movie and not from a game. So after this trailer the hype was turned up to the maximum and the mood inside the community was very good. But this trailer didn't show us any gameplay, so DICE decided to reveal a few more details about the actual game. And as a result of that, they now have a small rebellion on their hands. And it's not just the community that is unhappy with the details that they revealed. Also a few members of the press did pick up on those details and started to criticize DICE and EA. The criticism is primarily based on the announcement that quite a few features from Battlefront 2 will not be present in this new Battlefront game from DICE. Like that there won't be a single player campaign. But to be honest, this does not bother me too much, because just like in Battlefield, the multiplayer was the only thing that I really cared about in Battlefront. And DICE has a very bad track record when it comes to single player games. You just need to take a look at Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. The only really good single players that DICE created were the ones in Bad Company, and there the one in Bad Company 1 was better than the one in Bad Company 2. That one I really enjoyed a lot and even replayed it many times. So when you consider that a 6-hour single player campaign eats up more than 50% of your production budget, then I have to say that I have no problem with the lack of a single player in Battlefront or the next Battlefield game. It's better to have the developer focus on just the multiplayer, because that's what most of us will spend the entire time with. Then there was the announcement that the AT-AT will be on rails, like the AC-130 in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. Now, if you actually played Battlefront, then you know that driving the AT-AT was a really boring thing to do, and that's why some people say that they do not have a problem with the AT-AT to be on rails in Battlefront. However, to put large vehicles on rails has become a concerning trend. In Battlefield 1942, the player could actually drive ships like carriers and destroyers, as well as submarines. In Battlefield Vietnam we had helicopter lifting, which means that you could lift other vehicles across the map. In Battlefield 2 we had 2-seat jets, and in Battlefield 2142 the commander was able to move the Titan across the map. In all the Frostbite engine titles we have none of that. So yes, driving the AT-AT in Battlefront 2 was not much fun, but to just put them on rails is the cheapest solution to this problem, and that's why a lot of fans are rightfully upset about this decision. Just like a lot of players are really unhappy that there is no galactic conquest. But the single most biggest disappointment is that there will be no space battles in this new Battlefront game. DICE said that they want to focus on the ground battles and make sure that they get them done right. And this is actually very good, because this is what we did ask them to do for many years now in the Battlefield franchise. To just focus on a few things and make sure that they get them done right. However, we have a small problem here, and that is that the space battles are a fundamental part of the Star Wars franchise, where many times you have one half of the battle taking place on the surface of a planet, while the other half of the battle is taking place in space at the same time. And the most interesting battles, at least for me, have always been the ones in space, where you have those awesome dogfights where you protect your bombers so that they can reach and blow up the enemy ships, where you fly through the debris of the large ships that got destroyed, and things like that. So that there are no space battles in this new Battlefront game is the info that disappointed me the most. Because it could have fixed one of the biggest complaints that Battlefield players had for many years, and that is that aircrafts are super annoying. What I mean is that the players who are totally into flying have the space battle, and those players who like to play as infantry have the ground battle. So both of these players play the objective in their own way, and since that both happens at the same time, their combined performance will decide who will win the battle. You could even take this one step further and let the players operate the huge capital ships, similar to Battlefield 1942, where players could operate the carriers and the destroyers, or how Jaeger's upcoming game Dreadnought works. This would mean that the fighter pilots have to dogfight with the other fighter pilots while trying to protect the bombers who will try to take out the capital ships, while these capital ships are busy fighting the other capital ships. So that would be a really epic battle that does not only fit into the Star Wars universe, but this would also be worthy to actually be called a Star Wars game. And that there are no space battles in Battlefront hurts even more when you consider that the first free DLC for Battlefront will tell the story of the Battle of Jakku. This means that this will explain how the Star Destroyer that we've seen in the new movie trailer ended up there on the planet. It is a great idea to have a game tell that story, but just like in episode 6, the most interesting part of this battle will be in space, and that is what we will not get. And if you imagine episode 4, 5 and 6 without the space battles, then this is not even half the fun. Yes, they could add this with a future DLC, but this means that it will be limited to just a few maps, and that you will most likely have to pay extra for something that is an integral part of the Star Wars universe. So after all the hype that EA and DICE have built up, they appear to have a full-blown rebellion on their hands now because of what will not be included in this game. And both EA and DICE seem to be surprised that the fans responded that way, because you see DICE employees as well as community managers and even YouTubers in full defense mode on Twitter, Reddit, Facebook and in forums, telling everyone to calm down and not get upset because they have not seen the game yet. And that's actually the issue here. The marketing strategy just failed because first they build up the hype, then they show the trailer which didn't tell us anything about the game, but it was a really good trailer. And then they start telling the fans what Battlefront will not include? What did they expect what would happen? That players are happy to hear that they will get less than what Battlefront 2 offered, less than what was planned and partially already built for Battlefront 3, and that an integral part of Star Wars, the space battles, are missing. Why did they tell us what is not included, instead of telling us what this game is doing better than Battlefront 1 and 2? Does it do anything better besides the audio and the graphics? That this would blow up in their face was more than predictable. And instead of ending the trailer with pre-order and get bonus content early, they should have just ended it with "We have more for you at E3", rather than actually show us the game and how it works, as well as what is included. Now the question is, will Battlefront be any good? I think that it will be a solid first-person shooter, and it will probably also sell very well, thanks to episode 7 creating a lot of interest in Star Wars and Star Wars games. But what we see here with Battlefront reminds me a lot of Battlefield 3, where Battlefield 2 fans did hope to get the game that they have been waiting for the past 6 years. But after all the hype that has been built up by EA and DICE, we had to learn that Battlefield 3 would not feature a commander. There would be no comros, no mod tools, no public server files, no LAN mode, no spectator, no battle recorder, etc, etc, etc. In the end, Battlefield 3 did not appeal to the same core audience that Battlefield 2 did. And I predict that it will be the same with Battlefront, because EA wants to maximize their profit, and to achieve that they are convinced that they need to have their games to appeal to a certain kind of audience, which is not the same that enjoyed the original games. So yes, I think that Battlefront will be a good first-person shooter, but if you expect Battlefront 3 here, then you will be disappointed, just like many Battlefield 2 players were disappointed by Battlefield 3. And this fear of getting disappointed by Battlefront is the main reason why so many people are upset after they learned about the missing features they loved about Battlefront 2, and even features like space battles that are one of the pillars of the Star Wars franchise. So the DICE and EA empire are in full defensive mode right now, trying to do damage control and strike down this rebellion that they got on their hands. And while they are correct that we haven't seen any real gameplay yet and know very little about the actual game, you must not let anyone tell you that you are not allowed to be critical or cynical about a game that has not been released yet. Because you do that based on the information that has been revealed. DICE and EA have brought this on themselves, Not just with this marketing failure here with Battlefront, they gave us plenty of reasons during the last few years to be very cautious about their products and what they tell us about their games before the release. So continue to be vocal about what you want and what you don't want, and keep your wallets closed until you are sure that what they deliver is actually what you want to get, because that is the only way to make them listen. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a like, subscribe for more, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, have a nice day and take care. My name is Chris and this was Battle Nonsense.